All right, everybody. So, like, again, what I think is happening right now is I think there's this, basically a philosophical conversation between Ezra and God. And again, they're focused on this prophecy of Ezra's, and it's this prophecy where you'll have this time of righteousness where the wicked will get theirs, and Enoch would say, there's a countenance reversal. Um, And so Ezra is basically asking, how is it fair? How is it fair that these people in the future are going to be living, much happier lives than us in the past, who are not, who are living these lives of misery and toil? How is that fair? And I think basically the answer is just very subtle. I could definitely maybe use some help with it, but I think the answer is just very subtle, and the answer is that they're not right. These people who are living in the future are living better lives due to accident, right? And that's what Ezra's harping on. It's like these people in the future aren't going to be any better than us in the past. Why do they get to live these more holy lives and with the wicked defeated? Um, why are they saved and we are unsaved, right? And again, one of the things I think that is very important in the Torah is this basically this modern legal idea of justice being about the individual, and I think the Torah writers would say the same thing. Each person has the opportunity to live their own lives, and how you live your life is going to be praised or condemned by God. And it doesn't matter. And I think this is the point. It doesn't matter if you're I think one of the distinctions being made here is a distinction between sheep and shepherds. And I don't necessarily mean that um, in the idea that you have a shepherd who is a rabbi or a priest or an imam. Um, I mean that, and I think that's what this text means too. There's going to be people out there who choose life. They're going to choose life, but though they choose life, they're going to be condemned for it by the people of this world, um, because they're being lazy. Why aren't you being productive? Why are you being lazy? Why don't you be productive? Or Billy the Kid getting justice. People who choose life are going to get condemned, and there's going to be a point in time where if you choose life, you're not going to get condemned. There's not going to be that judgment anymore. Um, but at the same time, this is all seen through the eyes of Yahweh. And Adam, who suffers and toils, though he's stupid like a sheep, his heart is pure and loving. And again, a lot of this text, I think, hinges on this idea of success and failure. Because a materialist will have success and failure as death or life, right? But that's not how Yahweh, the God of this Ezra book, sees it. Um, and I think there's a lot of discussion here, basically, about shepherds and sheep, and priest in kind of a generic way, like we're all called to be priests, Priests in that we're all called to have our own relationship with God, or with this Yahweh person. And anyway, so yeah, I totally think that's what's going on in here. And that's what this word salvation means. It does not have anything to do with our modern ideas of theological salvation. Now again, there could be different levels to the text, and yeah, that could be being talked about as well. But on the surface of the text, this is a discussion about this prophecy of the future, and how is it fair? How is this fair? That the good people of his time have to, go through all this suffering, while after this prophesied time of righteousness, they're going to be living much happier lives. And that's what it means to be saved. It's not talking afterlife salvation. It's talking, society is going to put more importance towards holiness. Anyways, and I answered and said, I know, O Lord, that the Most High is now called merciful, because he has mercy on those who have not yet come into the world, and gracious, because he is gracious to those who turn in repentance to his law, and patient, because he shows patience towards those who have sinned, since they are his own works, and bountiful, because he would rather give than take away, and abundant in compassion, because he makes his compassion abound more and more to those now living, and to those who are gone, and to those yet to come. For if he did not make them abound, the world with those who inhabit it would not have life. And he is called giver, because he did not give out his goodness, so that those who have committed iniquities might be relieved of them. Not 1/10,000th of mankind could have life. And judge, because if he did not pardon those who were created by his word, and blot out the multitude of their sins, there would probably be left only very few of the innumerable multitude. So we're all guilty. He answered me and said, The Most High made this world for the sake of many, but the world to come for the sake of few. But I tell you a parable, Ezra. Just as when you ask the earth, it will tell you that it provides very much clay from which earthenware is made, but only a little dust from which gold comes. So is the course of the present world. Many have been created, but few shall be saved. Yeah, I mean, I think in these questions, he's really questioning the justice of God here. I mean, you could say that Ezra's almost being impious. He's questioning the justice of God, right? He's putting on his little face. Oh God, if you find favor in me, oh God, you're great. But if you look at his questions, they're very sharp, and filled with doubt. So again, like I go back to this, this in this book, Yahweh wants to admire us, right? We are the stories of heaven, And this is where I get this whole gold, right? There are going to be some stories in history where men or women or children act in such a way that they're just so admirable. And again, I would go back to Billy the Kid. Like here in New Mexico, like everybody admires Billy the Kid, though there be racial divisions around here. There's a lot of racial divisions around here, and there's a lot of different divisions around here. But everybody loves Billy the Kid. There's just this admiration for a man who goes out there and risks his life for justice, though it be a failing fight. Like Billy the Kid had no hope in fighting these landowners, these aristocrats. But he fought him nonetheless, and I think basically the same thing is going down right now. In that, I think this is maybe the answer, right? The answer is that Adam is very loved by God. I think this comes down to how you see a human being, right? So if you see a human being as love and bravery and virtue, then Adam has all that. But one thing he doesn't have is wisdom. And so I think one of the great distinctions being made in this text is exactly this. It's this idea of sheep and shepherd. And it's these people that we all admire, right? I mean, that's the answer right there. It's like all of us unsaved admire the stories of the saved, right? It's not that I think this whole discussion here. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's no discussion of quote unquote salvation within the Torah. All I'm saying is in this text alone, there is no discussion of salvation as you guys all think of it. That's not what's going down here. This is a very specific discussion about prophecy. And the saved refer to a very specific people within that prophecy. Right? It doesn't have anything to do with what everybody thinks about salvation. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, this is pretty obvious, and it's these few who are saved, who are like the high. These are like humans who are the higher choir of angels, right? There's some men out there like Moses, who Moses is like the seraphim, while all the rest of us are like little sprites, right? And I think that's maybe what is being said right now. I answered and said, Then drink your fill of understanding, O my soul, and drink wisdom, O my heart. For not of your own will did you come into this world, and against your will you depart. For you have been given only a short time to live. O Lord, who art over us, grant to thy servant that we may pray before thee, and give us seed for our heart and cultivation for our understanding, so that fruit may be produced, by which every mortal who bears the likeness of a human being may be able to live. For thou alone dost exist, and we are a work of thy hands, as thou hast declared. And because thou dost give life to the body which is now fashioned in the womb, and dost furnish it with members, what thou hast created is preserved in fire and water. And for 9 months the womb which has been formed endures, thy creation has been created in it. Okay, like, this is one of the reasons that this stuff tires me. Because, I mean, there's basically two different types of writings in the world. There's writings that are glib, and there are writings that are substantive and not glib. And writings that are very, very poetic tend to be very glib, right? And, I'm reading right now, and I mean, it's very poetic. But, is there anything going on? We don't want to force anything onto the text that's not there. But what's going on with all these words right here, huh? But again, here we have understanding, which is about sight and humility and pride, right? Give us humility. What thou hast created is preserved in fire and water. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Anyways, but that which keeps and that which is kept shall both be kept by thy keeping. That which keeps and that which is kept shall both be kept by thy keeping. So, I mean, again, what keeps someone who's more like a shepherd, right? What is kept? Someone more like a sheep. And when the womb gives up again what has been created in it, thou hast commanded that from the members themselves, that is, from the breasts, that is, no, that from the members themselves milk should be supplied, which is the fruit of the breasts, so that what has been fashioned may be nourished for a time, and afterwards thou wilt guide him in thy mercy. Thou hast brought him up in thy righteousness, and instructed him in thy law, and reproved him in thy wisdom. Thou wilt take away his life, for he is thy creation, and thou wilt make him live, for he is thy work. If then thou wilt suddenly and quickly destroy him who with so great labor was fashioned by thy command, to what purpose was he made? And now I will speak out. About all mankind thou knowest best, but I will speak about thy people, for whom I am grieved, and about thy inheritance, for whom I lament, and about Israel, for whom I am sad, and about the seed of Jacob, for whom I am troubled. Therefore I will pray before thee for myself and for them. For I see the failings of us who dwell in the land, and I have heard the swiftness of judgment that is to come. Therefore hear my voice and understand my words, and I will speak before thee. Man, Ezra is a long-winded guy, huh? Alright, the beginnings of the words of Ezra's prayer before he was taken up. He said, see, this feels like a textual break right here. I don't know. O Lord, who inhabits eternity, whose eyes are exalted, and whose upper chambers are in the air, whose throne is beyond measure and whose glory is beyond comprehension. before whom the hosts of angels stand trembling, and at whose command they are changed to wind and fire, whose word is sure and whose utterance are certain, whose ordinance is strong and whose command is terrible, whose look dries up the depths and whose indignation makes the mountains melt away, and whose truth is established forever. Hear, O Lord, the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. Attend to my words. Okay, damn. I mean, there's just a lot going on. There's just, like, in every phrase, it's like a truncated thing. Hear, O Lord, the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. Attend to my words, for as long as I live I will speak, and as long as I have understanding I will answer. O look not upon the sins of thy people, but at those who have served thee in truth. Regard not the endeavors of those who act wickedly, but the endeavors of those who have kept thy commandments and afflictions, or thy covenants and afflictions, amid afflictions. Think not on those who have lived wickedly in thy sight, but remember those who have willingly acknowledged that thou art to be feared. Let it not be thy will to destroy those who have had the ways of cattle, but regard those who gloriously taught thy law. Be not angry with those who are deemed worse than beasts, but love those who have always put their trust in thy glory. For we and our fathers have passed our lives in ways that bring death, but thou, because of us sinners, art called merciful. For if thou hast desired to have pity on us, who have no works of righteousness, then thou wilt be called merciful. For the righteous who have many works laid up with thee shall receive their rewards in consequence of their own deeds. But what is man that thou art angry with him? And what is a corruptible race that thou art so bitter against it? For in truth there is no one among those who have been born who has not acted wickedly, and among those who have existed there is no one who has not transgressed. For in this, O Lord, thy righteousness and goodness will be declared, when thou art merciful to those who have no store of good works. Again, I see a lot of shepherd sheep stuff in this. But like, let's get to this idea that it is wise to fear the Lord, right? It is wise to fear the Lord because, I mean, it just doesn't make sense when you look at the text. Like, why should you fear the Lord? Like, who is this Lord? Like, seriously, why should you fear him? This is a hen who yearns to cover up her little hens under her wing in protection. I mean, why should you fear something like that? You shouldn't. This is a very compassionate God. So what is this whole fear thing? And you know, I think the whole fear thing really comes down to this idea of purity, right? I hate to get into the Greek philosophers here, but I mean, Greek, in Greek philosophy, they'll talk about the nature of God on this philosophical level, right? And if there is a God, therefore God has to be omnipotent, If there is a God, therefore God has to be omniscient, right? I mean, if there is a God, that God is pure, right? This is a pure God, and it's in that purity that you get the compassion, but it's also in this purity that you get the fear, like, and that's where the fear should come from, right? Because you want to be as pure as Yahweh, and yeah, I mean, I think this really comes down to self-examination, and I think that's maybe what he's calling. And I think that's the difference between sheeps and shepherds. The sheep don't look at themselves, right? It's about eyesight. They don't look at themselves in the mirror. Um, so yeah, no, I don't know. Because yeah, why should you? Why is wisdom all about fearing God, especially the type of God that they portray, which is this pushover, this intimate, romantic, loving, pure child. I don't know. What do you guys think? He answered me and said, "Some things you have spoken rightly, and it will come to pass according to your words. For indeed, I will not concern myself about the fashioning of those who have sinned, or about their death, their judgment, or their destruction. But I will rejoice over the creation of the righteous, over their privilege, over their pilgrimage also, and their salvation, and their receiving their reward. As I have spoken, therefore so shall it be." Pilgrimage. I wonder what that means. For just as a farmer sows many seeds upon the ground and plants a multitude of seedlings, and yet not all that has been sown will come up in due season, and not all that were planted will take root, so also those who have been sown in the world will not be saved. Okay, we're getting closer to the end here before my memory goes out. But why don't we talk about this? um, okay, so let's first talk about this. So, God is a searcher of hearts in the Torah. Um, and there's this idea of testing. You test individuals, right? You don't just go out and condemn people, especially if they've done one act. No, you've got to look at them as individuals. What was that act all about? Yada yada. It's about that individual. And so, in other words, there's this progression of spirituality within the individual. And I think one of the things being argued right now is that there is a progression of spirituality within tribes as well, right? That us as a, like, this is where the whole idea of ages come in. That us as a world are going, like, each one of us has our own individual story, but we collectively have a spiritual story together. You could see this in the whole idea of generational curses. Um, if someone has a generational curse of alcoholism, or of suicide, or of murder, or of this or that. I think maybe that's what's going on right now. Um, in that and that's where the glory of God comes in. It's in this grander picture of the spiritual story of us as humans and of the Jews as a tribe. Um, because one of the things that I see in the Torah is that God's going to get really, really angry at the Jews, but then they're going to redeem themselves, right? And as far as I read prophecy, in the future, the Antichrist is going to be defeated by the Jews, and the Jews are going to end up saving the different tribes of the world, instead of trying to destroy them. The Jews will be saving because they will have God's heart, right? God loves all of mankind. And I think this guy's really challenging this idea that, if you're a chosen person, then you don't have to worry because you've been chosen. No. The Book of Enoch did the same thing. It's like, no, you got to climb that rope. Doesn't matter if you think you've been chosen or not. If you don't climb that rope, you're not chosen. And I think this is about like they'd say, the rise and fall of a civilization. That's the type of thing being talked about right now. This guy's talking about macro politics, I think. Anyways, that's it. I'm out of memory.